In the silver light of Vether Prime's twin moons, the city of Eslon lay silent. Once, its streets had rung with children's laughter and the song of riverboats. Now, empty cradles rocked themselves in abandoned halls. The Vetheri people had stopped breeding, haunted by the alien empire's cruel experiments. Fathers and mothers stared at empty nurseries. Wondering how to heal a wound so deep, Captain Lena Rhea stood at the edge of the landing platform, toes curled over its rim. Behind her, the transport shuddered as it docked with Vether's station, the giant fortress looming like a knife above the planet. Lena adjusted her helmet's visor, the glass fogging with her breath. Earth's command had ordered a covert rescue mission, but none truly knew what. Horrors awaited inside. She remembered the message that had launched this daring raid. A broken transmission filled with static and tears. "Why did you stop breeding?" A tiny, tremulous voice had asked. Then came the scream of metal doors and the sight of a young Vetheri girl chained beneath a blood-red lamp. The girl's skin, like opal glass, was cracked with fear. Lena had heard that plea and felt her heart break. No human could stand by when a child cried for mercy. Now, stepping into the cold corridor of Vether Station, Lena's boots echoed on steel grates. The air smelled of oil and antiseptic. Overhead, yellow warning lights blinked in a slow rhythm, as if counting down to despair. She tightened her grip on the rescue kit medkits, energy rounds, scanning tools, and signaled her team forward. Each member's expression was set with iron resolve. They had trained for months, but nothing could prepare them for the weight of this mission. They moved through silent chambers, past stasis pods, where Vetheri embryos lay in glass cylinders. Each pod gleamed under harsh lamps, the unborn curled in pools of nutrient fluid. Lena paused it when her eyes stung. A small face, like a marble statue, looked back from the mist. A scientist's note scrawled in alien script warned, "Harvest. At will." The words chilled her. Here, life had become a commodity. A distant clang shattered the hush. Lena raised her hand and the squad froze. Footsteps approached, metallic, deliberate. She pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding. Through a narrow window, she saw two alien guards walking in formation, their rifles cradled across, their torsos. Lena watched the way they strode without thought, how they treated these chambers as laboratories, not prisons. She whispered into her cums, "Phase 1, complete. Guards in sight, awaiting your lead." Her voice was firm, but inside, she trembled with both fear and fierce determination. She thought of the girl's broken question. "Why did you stop breeding?" She vowed silently. Tonight, they would answer with action. The corridor fell into shadow as the guards passed. Elena exhaled and motioned her team forward. Every step echoed with the memory of that child's cry. The rescue had only just begun, but already the cost was clear. Somewhere beyond these walls, a girl waited for freedom, and Lena would not leave without her. Lena's squad moved deeper into the station's core. The metal walls curved inward, as if squeezing the life from the air. Soft red lights cast long shadows on the floor. Each soldier held their breath when they passed closed doors, expecting screams or alarms. The only sound was the hum of power conduits and the distant echo of dripping water. Lena paused at a junction and whispered, "Sensors show movement ahead." She felt her heart pound in her chest, equal parts fear and hope. They had come this far. Turning back was not an option. They slipped through a narrow doorway into a vast hall filled with rows of glass tubes. In each tube sat a Vetheri embryo, their tiny forms curled in misty fluid. A soft blue glow pulsed around every cylinder. Lena knelt beside one and traced a finger along its cool surface. The embryo's shape was so small, so fragile. She swallowed hard and signaled her team to plant disabling charges on the life support conduits. Every strike of their tools sounded like a hammer on a heart. Beyond the embryos, they found a second chamber. Here, stasis pods housed children. Some faces were pressed against the glass, eyes closed but lips moving as if dreaming of freedom. Lena recognized the cracked voice from the distress call. In Pod 17, a young Vithari girl lay curled in a fetal position. The pod's controls glowed red, indicating active sedation. Lena pressed a hand to her jawline glass and whispered, "We're here to help." The girl's eyelids fluttered, and she moaned softly. As if afraid to wake, Lena crouched by a console and decrypted the override panel. Her fingers flew over alien glyphs until the pod hissed open. Steam rushed out like a held breath finally. Released, the girl slipped out, trembling but standing on shaky legs. Her pale skin glowed in the red light, and her eyes, once dull, now shone with confusion. Lena offered her water from a canteen. Though the girl accepted a few drops, her throat too tight to swallow more. Lena placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You're safe," she said. "My name is Lena. What is yours?" The girl's voice was a soft whisper. "Lyriel." She looked around, fear and wonder swirling in her violet eyes. Lena guided her toward a cluster of small crates where the team waited. "Stay close," Lena instructed. "We will get you out." Lyriel nodded, clutching the edge of Lena's armor. Behind them, the corridor's door sealed with a hiss. Alien guards would arrive soon. Lena turned to her squad and said, "We move now. Protect the child at all costs." As they advanced, the lights flickered. Far down the hall, heavy footsteps approached. Lena counted at least 6 guards. There. Rifles held at ready. She pressed Lyriel behind a stack of crates and motioned her team into defensive positions. The first guard swept his weapon beam across the floor, searching for intruders. Lena raised her hand and pressed a small device that jammed the guard's motion sensors. Confused, the guards paused. That moment of hesitation was all Lena needed. She stepped into the corridor, weapon low. "You will not harm her," she said in broken Vethari, her voice steady. The guards snarled and opened fire. Lena dove to the side, bullets sparking on metal panels. Her team returned fire, targeting the guard's legs to disable, not kill. Lyriel squeezed her arm, eyes wide with fear, offered a reassuring smile. "Stay behind me." With coordinated force, the squad subdued the aliens. The corridor fell silent except for heavy breathing. Lena ushered Lyriel and the other freed children down a narrow service tunnel. It smelled of grease and old wires. Orange lights dimly lit the walls. Every step echoed the price they paid and the hope they carried. Lyriel walked close, clutching her rescued friend's hands. Lena watched them with fierce protectiveness. Ahead, the tunnel forked toward the docking bay. Lena checked her comlink. "Extraction team is 5 minutes out," she said softly. Lyriel looked up and whispered, "Thank you." Lena squeezed her hand. "Just hold on. Freedom is near." The narrow tunnel ended at a heavy blast door marked docking bay. Lena placed her palm on the scanner, and the panel flickered green. The door groaned as it slid open. Bright floodlights revealed a cavernous chamber where battered human transports waited. Smoke curled from damaged consoles. The children paused at the threshold, their small bodies stiff with fear and wonder. Lena offered a gentle smile. "Almost home," she whispered. Lyriel clutched her hand, hope rekindled. In her violet eyes, human engineers and soldiers swarmed the bay, repairing hull breaches and clearing debris. Lena's cum crackled. "Command, this is Reyes. Docking bay secure. Evac on schedule." A calm voice replied, "Affirmative. 2 minutes to launch." Relief washed over Lena. She guided Lyriel and the other freed children toward transport. Alpha. The ship's ramp descended with a hiss. Inside, rows of seats faced a viewing port where stars streaked by as the children boarded. Lena noticed a young Vethari boy limping. His leg was cut and blood stained his furred ankle. Lena knelt beside him and tore a strip from her uniform to bind the wound. The boy winced but smiled through his pain. "Thank you," he murmured in broken common. Lena squeezed his shoulder. "You're safe now," she assured him. Round them, children comforted one another, their voices soft and trembling like new melodies. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flooded the bay. An alien sentinel stormed through the doorway with 2 guards at its side. Its multi-jointed legs clicked on the floor. The sentinel raised a heavy energy cannon. Lena stood between the children and the threat. Her heart thundered, but her face was calm. "Get them aboard," she barked to her squad. 2 soldiers formed, a shield, guiding children up the ramp. Lyral hesitated at the foot of the ramp. Her eyes flicked between Lena's firm face and the alien's looming form. Lena knelt and took Lyrel's hand. "Now," she urged softly. Lyrel darted forward, children following close behind. Lena rose to meet the sentinel. Its cannon hummed. "Ready to burn?" Lena leveled her rifle at its armored knee. "You will not harm them," she said in steady Vethery. The sentinel's eyes glowed brighter, but it paused, as if surprised by her defiance. Lena fired a single burst at the cannon's power core. Sparks flew, and the weapon dropped with a clatter. The guards roared in anger and opened fire. Lena dove to the side, returning fire with practiced precision. The echo of blasts shook the bay. Above, support fighters streaked past the viewing port, targeting the station's defenses. Lena's team pressed forward, pinning the guards against the far wall. Inside Transport Alpha, the children huddled together. Lyral pressed her small body against the seat's back. She closed her eyes and whispered a quiet prayer. Lena looked back through the viewport. She saw the sentinel stagger, then collapse under the soldiers' fire. A cheer rose from the bay as the last guard fell. Lena exhaled and sprinted up the ramp. Her boots pounded on metal steps as she reached the bridge. Commander Holt stood at the controls, eyes locked on the viewport. "All aboard," he called. Lena nodded, guiding the last child inside. The ramp sealed with a hiss. Holt engaged the thrusters. The ship shuddered and lifted off. Stars streaked into lines as they dropped away from Veether Station. Lena felt the rumble of engines beneath her feet, a steady heartbeat that meant safety. In the quiet that followed, Lena moved among the children. Lyral sat beside the injured boy, offering him water. Her hand was steady and kind. Lena watched them and felt a swell of pride and relief. The children, once prisoners of a cruel empire, now held each other close. The shuttle swung toward Earth, its hull scarred, but its mission fulfilled. Lena stood at the viewport, scanning the dark outline of the planet below. She pressed her palm against the glass, as if touching home. Lyral joined her, small fingers curling around Lena's. Lena knelt and looked into Lyrel's shining eyes. "We'll get you home," she promised softly. Lyral nodded, her face calm and brave, as the blue glow of Earth filled the viewport. Lena thought of the message she would send. One child's courage had lit the spark of rescue, and from that spark, hope would blaze across the stars. The shuttle's engines hummed steadily as it entered Earth's upper atmosphere. Lena stood beside the narrow viewport, watching clouds swirl below. She felt a gentle tremor beneath her boots as the heat shield glowed orange. Behind her, the rescued children huddled on medical bunks, blankets pulled tight around their small shoulders. Lyral sat close to the injured boy, bandages fresh on his leg, and offered him sips of water. His eyes shone with gratitude. Lena drew a slow breath and whispered, "We're almost home." In the cabin, the lights dimmed for re-entry. The shuttle rattled and groaned, and some children clenched the rails. Lena knelt before them, voice soft but firm. "I know it feels scary," she said, "but we are safe now. Earth's gravity will bring us down gently." Lyral looked at her, eyes wide. Lena smiled and gently squeezed the girl's hand. "You are brave," she said. "I am proud of you." Lyral nodded, finding strength in those words. Outside, the blue curve of the planet grew larger. Rescue teams and aircraft and hovercraft streaked beneath them, ready to guide the shuttle to the landing zone. Lena watched as bright lights formed a corridor in the sky. She felt a flutter in her chest, relief, hope, and a touch of fear. All at once, the shuttle broke through the clouds with a roar. The children cried out in surprise, then cheered as clear daylight flooded the cabin. They touched down on a wide, green field at New Hope Base. The ramp lowered and warm sunlight bathed the shuttle's floor. Soldiers and medics rushed forward, arms open. Lena helped Lyral and the other children step out into fresh air. Each child blinked against the sun, breathing in the scent of grass and wildflowers. Tears poured down their faces as they saw a human. Faces kind, relief-filled, faces waiting to embrace them. Laurel's mother, pale woman with silver-streaked hair, knelt and called her name. Laurel ran forward, stumbling over the grass, then threw herself into her mother's arms. Lena watched as they clung together, tears of joy mixing with laughter. The boy with the injured leg was taken by a medic who promised him ice cream and a bandage change. He waved at Lena, voice timid, "Thank you." Lena lifted her hand in a small salute, feeling warmth spread through her chest. After the reunions, Lena led the children to a quiet tent where counselors waited. Soft music played and cushions lay on rugs. Laurel sat beside Lena, fidgeting with her uniform. "Are you okay?" Lena asked gently. Laurel looked up, voice small. "I still feel afraid sometimes." Lena nodded. "That is normal. You saw terrible things. It will take time to heal." She placed a reassuring hand on Laurel's shoulder. "But you are safe now, and we will help you every step of the way." Outside the tent, Earth's news crews gathered. Cameras and microphones pointed toward the shuttle. Lena stepped forward. In her uniform, chest heavy with medals and dust, she raised a hand in greeting. Laurel peeked from behind the tent flap, curiosity shining in her eyes. Lena spoke into the cameras. "Today we bring home not just children, but hope. Their courage showed us the power of one small heart. We will rebuild what was broken." Her voice trembled with emotion. That night, under a sky crowded with stars, Laurel and Lena walked to a quiet hill above the base. The grass was soft beneath their boots. Laurel pointed at the shining lights of Earth cities below. "Home," she whispered. Lena smiled and wrapped her coat around the girl. "Yes, home." Laurel pressed the glowing pendant Lena had given her to her chest. It pulsed softly, a reminder of kindness in the dark. Lena stood beside Laurel, gazing at the sky. Each star seemed to promise a new beginning. Laurel's small hand found Lena's, and together they watched the night. In that moment, two hearts, one human, one alien, beat in quiet harmony, and the rescue was done. But the journey toward healing had just begun. Under those stars, they knew they would face it side by side. Morning light crept through the tall windows of the New Hope-based medical hall. Lena entered, carrying a tray of warm tea and soft bread. The rescued children lay on narrow beds, blankets pulled up to their chins. Laurel sat propped on her pillow, brushing her fingers along the glowing pendant at her throat. When Lena placed the tray beside her, Laurel managed a small smile. "Thank you," the girl whispered. Lena settled in the chair by her bed and offered a cup of tea. "You did well yesterday," she said gently. Laurel sipped, eyes distant with memories she could not shake. Across the hall, the injured boy from the station worked on a small wooden puzzle given to him by a counselor. Lena watched him fit the pieces together, tiny animals and trees that reminded him of home. Each click of the pieces sounded like healing. Laurel turned to Lena. "I remember trees on Vether," she said softly. Lena nodded. "We will plant new ones here. You can help." Laurel's violet eyes brightened. Even broken worlds could grow again with care. Later, Lena led the children to a therapy circle under a giant dome of glass. Sunlight warmed the polished stone floor. A Vethery counselor named Scylla sat cross-legged, inviting the children to share their dreams. Laurel closed her eyes and spoke about the riverboats and music of her childhood. The others murmured their memories' soft melodies, dancing. Lights, the scent of coral blooms. As each child spoke, their voices wove together like threads in a tapestry. Lena felt tears prick her eyes. Hope blossomed in those shared stories. After the session, Lena guided Laurel to the base's greenhouse. Rows of young saplings stretched beneath warm lamps. Soil crunched under their boots, and the air smelled of fresh earth. Laurel knelt beside a seedling no taller than her hand. Lena handed her a small watering can. Laurel poured water around the roots, careful and calm. "Plants need kindness to grow," Lena explained. Laurel's face shone. "Like people," she said. Lena smiled and ruffled the girl's hair. "Yes." That afternoon, Earth's leaders arranged a ceremony in the base courtyard. Flags of many nations fluttered above polished stone. Families of rescued children arrived in vans, their faces anxious and hopeful. Lirel's mother stepped forward, tears shimmering as she scanned the crowd. When she saw Lirel, she broke into a run. The girl dropped her pendant, but Lena caught it and handed it back. Lirel and her mother embraced in the center of the courtyard. The crowd fell silent, then burst into applause. General Roberts rose at the podium. His voice echoed across the square. Today we honor not only brave soldiers, but courageous children who reminded us why we fight. Lirel and her friends faced darkness and refused to be broken. Their light guides us all. Cheers rose again. Lirel stood beside Lena, holding her mother's hand. The girl's small shoulders squared with pride. Lena placed a hand on Lirel's back, whispering, "You are the light." Lirel squeezed her hand and returned. As dusk fell, Lena led some children to the recreation hall. Games and laughter filled the space. Lirel and other Vetheri children learned to roll Earth-style hoops along the floor. Lirel ran, her laughter clear and bright. She stopped and looked back at Lena, eyes shining. Lena offered her a proud grin. The girl ran back, throwing her arms around Lena's waist. Lena lifted her into a hug, feeling the weight of the journey they had shared. That night, Lena stood alone beneath the stars, the base quiet around her. She held the glowing pendant in her hand, its soft pulse matching her heartbeat. Memories of the rescue rushed through her fear, determination, the girl's trembling fist in hers. Lena whispered to the sky, "You are safe now." A gentle breeze stirred the flags overhead. Lena closed her eyes, knowing the fight was not over, but feeling certain that hope had been reclaimed. In her palm, the small pendant glowed like a promise of tomorrow. Dawn arrived in gentle shades of pink and gold over New Hope Base. Lena stepped onto the balcony of her quarters, the early light warming her face. Below, the rescued children gathered in clusters, chattering softly. Lirel emerged from the group, her violet eyes bright with purpose. She sprinted up the steps, clutching a small satchel. Lena smiled as the girl reached her. "What have you got there?" she asked. Lirel opened the satchel to reveal packets of Vetheri seeds, spiral-shaped, pods that glowed faintly in her hand. "These are from home," Lirel explained. "My mother saved them. She thought one day we could plant them." Lena's chest tightened. "Then let us make a garden together," she said. Lirel's face lit up, and she hugged the satchel close. Lena led the way to a quiet corner of the base grounds. A half-circle of fresh soil lay ready. Engineers had cleared debris and leveled the earth just for this. The children gathered, curious at the small plot. Lirel knelt and gently pressed a seed into the ground. Beside her, other Vetheri children followed, placing their own seeds in neat rows. Lena sank to her knees and helped, smoothing soil over. Lirel's first seed with fingers that trembled with hope. As they worked, Earth's staff brought watering cans and small tools. Lena explained, "These seeds need water, light, and care, just like you did." Lirel smiled at the memory of her own rescue. The children worked side by side, human and alien alike, digging holes, covering seeds, and patting the earth. Each seed fell into place like a promise of new life. After planting, Lena stood and wiped soil from her hands. Lirel offered her a gentle bow of thanks, and Lena bowed in return, laughter dancing in her eyes. Around them, the children chattered and giggled, their voices weaving a melody of hope. Lena watched the garden grow, imagining the shoots that would soon break through the dark soil. That evening, a message arrived from Earth's Council of Unity. The rescued children would be honored at the World Assembly in 2 weeks. Lena read the news to Lirel, whose eyes widened. "They will hear our story," the girl whispered. Lena nodded, pride shining in her gaze. "Your voice matters." Over the next days, the garden grew into the children's sanctuary. Lena often found Lirel sitting alone by the saplings, speaking softly to them in Vetheri lullabies. The other children joined in, their voices blending human and alien melodies. Lena stood back, heart full, watching music and memory bloom together. One afternoon, Lena received a report from the base infirmary. The boy with the injured leg had recovered faster than expected and asked to assist the medics in small tasks. Lena found him organizing supplies, his limp barely noticeable. He looked up and grinned. "I want to help others, like you helped me," he said. Lena placed a hand on his shoulder. "You already are helping," she replied. "Your kindness heals too." As the day ended, Lena gathered the children under the glass dome for a storytelling hour. She brought out a small book of human fairy tales. The children leaned forward, eyes wide, as Lena read of brave heroes, daring adventures, and happy endings. Lirel curled next to Lena, listening intently. When the story ended, Lena closed the book and said, "Every story matters, especially yours." Lirel nodded, her heart warm. That night, Lena walked through the silent garden. Moonlight bathed the young plants in silver glow. Lirel joined her, holding the glowing pendant. Together they stood among the rows of seeds, feeling the quiet power of growth. Lirel whispered, "One day these will be tall trees." Lena brushed a strand of hair from the girl's face. "Yes, and you will tell the world how they began." Under the stars, two figures, soldier and child, watched life take root. In the gentle rustle of leaves, they heard the promise of tomorrow. In each other's company, they found strength and hope. And as the night wind carried the soft song of the lullabies, Lena knew that the true rescue was only beginning, nurturing young hearts to reach for the sky. The day of the World Assembly dawned bright and clear. Flags from every nation fluttered in the breeze over the grand plaza. Lena dressed in her formal uniform, the medals on her chest polished to a shine. Beside her, Lirel adjusted her simple dress, the glowing pendant hanging over her heart. The rescued children stood together, their faces shining with pride and nervous excitement. Lena knelt beside Lirel and whispered, "Today everyone will hear your voice." Lirel nodded, determination mixing with her young fear. They walked onto the broad marble steps that led to the assembly hall. A crowd of diplomats, journalists, and citizens filled the square below. Behind the podium, representatives from Earth's Council of Unity awaited. Lena guided Lirel forward and stepped back, giving the girl the space to stand alone. Lirel's small frame trembled, but she straightened her shoulders and lifted her chin. The hush that fell over the crowd felt like a soft blanket. Lirel cleared her throat and began in a clear, gentle voice. "My name is Lirel of the Vethri people," she said. The words echoed across the plaza. "The alien empire stole our children and used us as tools. They broke our hearts and our will to hope." Her voice wavered, and she looked down. Watched her, heart pounding. Lirel closed her eyes, took a breath, and continued, "But one soldier risked everything to save me. She showed me kindness when I felt only fear." Lirel met Lena's eyes and added, "She gave me back my voice." Gasps and whispers rippled through the assembly. Lirel raised her small hand. "Today, I speak for all children who suffer. Speak for hope." She turned to face the flags above. "Let us plant seeds of life, not darkness. Let us build gardens of kindness, not walls of fear. We are all children of this universe, and every life matters." The crowd erupted into applause. Tears glistened on faces both human and Vethri. Lirel's voice had carried across worlds. After the ceremony, children and dignitaries mingled in the gardens that ringed the assembly grounds. Lirel led a small group to plant the Vethri seeds among Earth's flowers. Lena stood nearby, watching the children press seeds into the earth and water them. Each seed dropped with promise. Lirel looked up at Lena and smiled. Lena returned the smile, her eyes misty. In the soil, new life stirred in harmony with old worlds. That evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and purple, Lirel and Lena walked along a quiet path. The newly planted garden glowed softly under lanterns. Lirel stroked a young shoot that had already broken the surface. "It grows," she whispered. Lena placed a hand on the girl's shoulder. "So does hope." They stood in comfortable silence, watching shadows lengthen around them. News of Lirel's speech spread across Earth and beyond. Holovideos showed her words and the image of Lena standing behind her. Messages poured in. Teachers invited Vethri children to speak. Families offered to host exchange visits, and leaders pledged to protect young lives everywhere. Lyral read the messages later in her tent, eyes wide with wonder. Lena sat beside her and said softly, "You changed the world today." Lyral laid her head on Lena's shoulder. "We changed it together." Before sleep, Lena tucked Lyral into bed and kissed her forehead. The pendant glowed faintly in the dark.
"Ow,"
Lena whispered. "Rest now. Tomorrow we plant again." Lyral nodded and closed her eyes, a peaceful smile on her face. Lena turned off the light and stepped into the hallway, pausing to look back at the sleeping girl. In that gentle curve of her lips, Lena saw the victory of compassion. In the days that followed, the garden became a place of learning and friendship. Human and Vethri children played among the saplings. They told stories of distant stars and new adventures. Every seed Lena and Lyral had planted grew under careful hands and hopeful hearts. And so the world remembered that one child's courage could spark a movement, and one soldier's compassion could heal a wound wider than galaxies. Gentle light of a new dawn, humanity and its alien friends walked forward as one, ready to nurture every young heart and to guard the promise of tomorrow.